Hey keyboard nerds, it's Mike. I just wanted to discuss how I get my sound out of my rig in the studio here and how you can do it with your own Hammond at home. I've had a lot of people reach out to me on YouTube or through my website and ask, how do you get that distorted sound? It's like not too distorted, it's not too clean, it's just nice and warm. So I just wanted to go through how I do it. It's really, really simple. In fact, some people have asked, what's your signal chain? Are you adding a distortion pedal? Are you adding any effects? And the answer is, I am not. There's nothing modded on this Hammond B3 or this Leslie. It's completely stock. It's a 1969 Hammond B3. Just straight up, nothing added to it. And I run it through a Leslie 145 speaker, which I have in my ISO booth here for recording. You can open the ISO booth here and you can have a look. That's just always mic'd up and always ready to go, which is perfect. This Leslie is the type of Leslie that I like because I find the smaller Leslies have a tighter bass and I like them for recording a little bit more. It's just my preference, doesn't work for everybody. But there it is. It's a Leslie 145. It's not modified in any way. And typically, I leave the gain or the volume on the 145 at about 8 or 9. And for the most part, I just never move it from there because I find that it's just the perfect place to set the Leslie where on the volume pedal, it's clean, 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 and at about 75% on the volume pedal, that nice warm distortion starts coming into the sound. And that's what I like. I like to have the option of having clean and dirty. But it just depends because sometimes when you're recording, depending on the track that you're working on, if you're working on a heavy rock track or something, you don't always want clean. Or you don't always want just slightly distorted. Sometimes you want full-on John Lord distortion, and that's just what works for that track. So the secret sauce for me is actually not adjusting the Leslie, it's adjusting the preamp on the B3 itself. And I'm not a technician, so I will admit that I really don't know what I'm talking about with this stuff, other than I just know what it sounds like and how it affects this B3 and what it does in a track. So I learned this probably 5 years after starting to play the organ. I'd never figured it out. And somebody said, do you know that you can adjust the preamp on the inside of the B3 and it really makes a huge difference to how much the organ distorts? And so I figured it out. So on the back of this organ, right on the volume pot, or where the volume pedal goes in, there's a place where you can put this little tiny jewelry slot screwdriver in there, and you can turn the pot counterclockwise and it increases the gain, or you can turn it clockwise and it brings the gain down. So this organ typically is at its almost its lowest volume on the internal pot. It's quite tame, and that's what I find works really well for the types of music that I'm typically recording. But if I want to go full on John Lord, I can just take it and turn it counterclockwise, and you'll immediately hear the difference. So here's how I do it. I make sure that the volume pedal is all the way down on the B3, so it's as loud as it can possibly go, because what I'm most interested in is I want to know how much is it going to distort when it's right at the top of the volume pedal, the loudest that it can be, and I'll kind of work backwards from there. So I'll pull 4 drawbars on, say, the top manual, and I'll hold down a chord on the organ, and I will take this screwdriver and I will move it until I have the sound that I want. So I'll give you an example. Here we go. So I'll take a chord like a fifth, and turn it counterclockwise. And you can hear that that organ just went from kind of nice pop, nice country, nice gospel sounding to rock and roll. And when I go play that organ now, it's going to be just aggressive, which is perfect for certain types of tracks. So I guess the answer to the question is, for people that ask, how do I adjust the tone, or how do I get the tone out of this B3? 90% of it comes from adjusting the preamp on the organ itself, not the Leslie. And that might be different for different players, and I understand that, but this is just kind of how I get it done in the studio. And I find it's a really useful tool to have in your toolbox for sure. So I'm going to reset this kind of back to where I had it. And I just reset it to more of a clean sound. So experiment with that. Try it. You can't hurt the organ by doing this. Make sure you don't turn it too far because you'll actually back the screw right off inside of it. But just practice getting different levels of gain out of your Hammond B3, and this really makes a huge difference. And I think that not a lot of people know about this. It's a good trick. Check it out. Try it. Enjoy.